this is like we're recording this on December 1st, so it's in its second weekend, and those numbers haven't come out yet when we recorded, but here's just a few records that this movie has broken already. First one, the highest grossing movie ever based on a Broadway musical at the domestic box office, and that's at 214 million and counting as of November 30th. The biggest global opening for a non-sequel film for 2024. The biggest global and domestic opening ever for a movie based on a Broadway show. Sometimes you just need to belt it out. We're talking movies. We're talking Wicked, starring Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, directed by John M. Chu. Chris, it's good to see me.
Well, the best way to bring folks together is to give them a real good enemy. Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode. How'd you like that movie? As Scott said, we're going to be talking about Wicked. Technically, we're talking about Wicked Part 1. We're going to definitely discuss that aspect of this film. Scott, why don't you take us away?
Ooh, I like it. I like it. Are you gonna just sing the whole time? Because
Yeah,
I'm down
what
for
you
that.
didn't realize is you're actually tuning into a musical version of the How'd You Like That Movie podcast.
No, God, please, no.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I have an awful singing voice. It's why I did theater and not musical theater. So,
All right. Okay, so like
so
I'm
Scott
very
Scott's already actually done a little review. It is up on our socials. I have not read it, so I'm coming into this totally blind. Anyway, sorry, Scott, keep going.
Are you sure you don't want to just talk over me again?
I mean, it's kind of what we do on this show. I don't know why you're fucking surprised about that, but sure. No,
right.
no, you can say some words.
You sure about that?
So I'm very apprehensive with these like revisionist stories. Like, but I've never read this book. I've never seen the Broadway play, but pretty much from go, this movie's had me hooked. I love that fucking opening track shot of the pile of water that then goes to like the reflection of the hat, and then the flying monkeys like just bust out of the fucking window. It's just like so simple, but like to me it was just fucking captivating. And like I was gonna say before Chris
Stole your
talked
thunder
over.
as usual.
Yeah. So I did a written review, and it can be found on our Instagram page or on our letterbox.
Well, it's actually technically Scott's letterbox. I have yet to do the minor things that I am expected to do as a co-host on the show, which included getting a letterbox. It's on my list of many long list of things to do. So it is Scott's letterbox. Scott, what is that letterbox?
It's HYDTM Scott. So how'd you like that movie, Scott?
Yeah, that's DTM, not DTF. Because Scott is married, he is definitely not that. So,
well,
well,
right
Scott
price.
is. It's just his wife is not.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Scott's always ready to
go.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, like I enjoyed the shit out of this movie. I got lost in both performances, and like I think Cynthia Erivo, I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. Like she's a fucking star. Like we talked about her way back when in our
Bad Times at El Royale.
Yeah, and we even then we were like, fuck, she's captivating. Like she was one of the best things of that movie. But yeah, like I enjoyed the shit out of it. Based on your comments at the beginning, I'm assuming you did it. So yeah, Chris, how did you like this movie?
I do feel sometimes like my sole role on this show is to be the grown-up, to not just be the antagonist, but to be the one that has to come in and be like, all right, children, it's time to have like a real discussion about movies and movie making and stuff like that. And we can't just get lost in the wonder of Hollywood cinematics. So first off, okay, I don't know if I'm the right demographic for this, and that's not because like I'm a big fan of obviously stage productions and musicals. I go to the Stratford Theatre, I go into Toronto, I go to Mirvish, so like Hamilton, Chicago, I love them. So like you, Scott, I've not seen any other adaptations of this. I've not read the book, which means I think that we can both come into this and just talk about this film as a standalone project. Like we don't have to make any comparisons, which is kind of nice. So as I said at the top of the show, this is fucking part one. This movie is like 2 hours and 40 minutes or something like that. Like it's almost or it might even be 2:45. Like it's fucking long. And it's part one. So one of the things I'm going to point out right away is the Broadway musical itself is only 2 hours and 45 minutes. And that includes a 15-minute intermission. All right. So really the musical is 2 hours and 30 minutes long. The movie is longer and it's only part one. So I'm sure you can take from the sarcasm dripping off my great radio voice that the length of this thing was a big fucking issue for me, like right from the jump. Like I was actually dreading going to see this fucking movie, which is not a good environment to be or a headspace to be in when you go in to judge a piece of art, right? Like I don't want to be here and pooping my fucking diaper. So
there's so much duty in here. I can't take it anymore.
Scott, let's talk about the length. Like,
well, I think that is your issue because like when I went to watch this movie, this is more my daughter wanted to watch it, so I'm like,
I was gonna ask you. So who all did you go to?
I just went with my middle child, Camila. So she wanted to watch it, and I'm like, sure, I have a movie podcast. This is a movie. Fuck it. I'll go watch it, and I'll just do the Instagram review, right? But I went in like blind. I knew nothing about the length of the movie. I knew nothing about the story, like everything, right? I just went blind, and I'm just like, okay, John M. Chu,
give it to me.
Just like fucking throw it on my face.
Did you sidebar? Did you see the 3D or the normal version?
No, I went normal. I think it's just because I'm fucking old. Like the novelty of 3D has worn off on me. Which I try to avoid a 3D movie as much as possible because I find that like they're not really being made for 3D. It's just really like, okay, just let's put in the effects after, right?
Yeah. So there's nothing there that's actually required to make it. The experience is not heightened by the 3Dness. It just happens to be a fucking weird blurry screen if you don't have those glasses on. Yeah.
It's not like Cameron, right, where he's intentionally making Avatar in 3D so you can be immersed in Pandora. So it's like, to me it's nothing like that. So yeah, I avoid those. But yeah, like we talked earlier in the year, with misinterpreting trailers, like me when we were talking about Mean Girls and Joker 2, where the audience were like unaware that those films were musicals. Like that's the one thing I knew, like this one from go was, this was going to be a musical. So and like I said, I'm pretty apprehensive about these because like Maleficent and Cruella, where the person you thought was the villain is actually the hero, kind of thing.
Whoa. So you knew nothing about the story of Wicked at all?
Yeah, nothing.
Oh, okay. All I knew was like so at least like I was aware that this is the story of like basically Oz from the point of view of the Wicked Witch. Like I at least knew that part, right? So I knew who the end protagonist was and roughly who the end. I mean, that also 10 minutes in, because the witch dies of the Wizard of Oz witch dying, like the water on the witch happens like right away. Then there's the effigies being burned, and then Glinda shows up, and there's the whole conversation about, did you know the Wicked Witch of the West? And that's the story's opening, right? So
right. So that's the thing. Like I was it like for me, like I was captivated by it, right?
But
Like,
did you know it was like almost a 3 hour movie going in? Did you know that
no,
part?
I knew nothing. And I
Nothing.
think because you knew that, and you're very like a movie should only be about 10 minutes long. You know,
If I
that's
can't
your,
watch your movie on TikTok, I don't want to watch your fucking
yeah,
movie.
you're like, fuck, like you're like, fuck it, right? Like,
Unless it's like a Martin Scorsese or a Quentin Tarantino film, and then I'm like, give me like I want an actual 24-hour film, and I want
no,
to
you're
watch it all in one sitting.
well, why are you lying? You're like, if it's on the hub, I need it 5 minutes, but anything else is three. But yeah, like I enjoyed it. And like I said, I thought the performances were captivating. I thought everybody did like their job, right? And like to me, it was engrossing, and it does have me kind of looking forward to next year to part two. Like the way I looked at it, like I didn't know how long the actual musical is. I just figured, okay, this is the first half. Now we're into a year-long intermission, and then you get the second half of the story. So I was thinking it as a Broadway play, kind of that way.
Except Broadway plays do a 15-minute intermission, not a 1 year intermission, and the story is still concluded in less than 3 hours. So right off the bat, okay, let's not even try and like the director, made his comments, and I think so did the not the conductor, basically whoever's doing all the scoring. They talked about like how we just really, first off, they did say that the studio was going back and forth, and to me this feels like a studio decision right off the bat, where they're like, well, if we're going to spend, basically they spent $100 million, $150 million roughly just on budgeting, or just on marketing, not on budgeting, marketing, right? So they're like, we're going to do this, we're going to front load this thing, we're going to everybody get fucking amped up, we're going to leave at Gravity, which like it is probably the most popular song from Wicked. I mean, especially if you watched Glee and stuff like that. So they're like, we're going to front load this thing, and we're going to split it into two parts. Like, isn't The Hobbit like 3 fucking movies or something like that? But
Yeah.
in reality, it was like, as a kid, it was like a 90-minute animated fucking film. So then you get the director coming out and saying, well, it's because, the studio was going back and forth, but also then we realized, we couldn't fit it all in one movie. I'm like, are you fucking crazy?
Are you stupid or something?
I just looked up. So my favorite musical adaptation right now is still Chicago, right? And the Chicago stage play is roughly about the same length. It's about 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes. And the film is less than fucking 2 hours long. So I'm like, you can fuck right off with this idea that somehow the entire Broadway production cannot be fit into one movie. And I get it, this is movie business, right? In business, there's a big component of the business side. If the studio is telling you, we want 2 movies, okay, cool. Maybe make 2 2-hour movies, because this thing had and I agree with you. Like, this is a great example of like the whole can be worse than the sum of its parts, because the acting is great. The like the singing is great. Choreography is okay. Like it's nothing crazy. I mean, doing choreography, dance choreography in film is not as impressive to me as it is on a stage, because like on stage it's happening in real time. Like I know that you can do takes, you can do different camera angles and stuff like that. A lot of these sets are practical. The production designer is Nathan Crowley, who is my boy Christopher Nolan's guy. So he got Oscar nominated for Tenet. He worked on Dunkirk. He worked on Interstellar, and he did Dark Knight. So practical effects, great CGI, I think done by Industrial Light and Magic. Casting was great. We've got Ariana Grande, which is, I mean, she is fantastic as Glenda, don't you think? Like, I think she
Glenda,
Glenda
with the gla.
as Cynthia as Alphaba. But then you also have like supporting roles from Jonathan Bailey, Ethan Slater, who, by the way, is currently dating Ariana Grande. Just a little TMZ action there. I mean, Peter Dinklage as the goat, Michelle Yeoh, and Jeff Goldblum as Wizard. Like, so you've got all these great things happening, and then you have a fucking screenplay that just drags
See,
out.
I just want to say this because I do think you're in the minority. Um,
I would agree with you. I mean, it's got a 96 from the audience right now, which actually I do want to talk about that. Do you think that audience, because listen, other than people like us who have to go see this film, in my opinion, the only people going to see Wicked are people who probably want to see Wicked. Like, I don't think random people are like, this movie, it's got some witches. I'm gonna go see what this witch movie. Which movie am I gonna
but
watch?
it is, yeah. Well, okay.
So like the audience,
I'll say
it's definitely directed at the right audience.
right, but it also is a known IP, right? Like Wizard of Oz is known, and it's one even the original.
Even
it
the
is
motherfucking
one.
Wizard of Oz is shorter than this.
No, but what I'm saying is like, it's a known IP, and Wizard of Oz is one of those. Even though when was it done? Like the 30s?
Wizard of Oz, yeah, it's 30s.
Yeah, like it's still to this day like a movie that's passed on through generations, right? Like it's one of those movies that everybody has watched. I don't think anybody has never watched the Judy Garland Wizard of Oz.
Have you watched
Now,
The Creepy Return to Oz? That's a fucking
yeah, man, like
movie,
that
man.
one's fucked up. Like that's like straight up horror.
Don't let your kids watch that; they'll be scared.
Yeah, but there is even the because Disney tried to do this, right, where it wasn't Wicked, but Oz the Great and Powerful.
Was it the Great and Powerful Oz or whatever? The one with
Franco,
James Franco, and a bunch of other people.
Yeah, Michelle. Michelle. But yeah, because I think that one did well too, right? Like because it is such like Wizard of Oz is a beloved IP. But what I was gonna say, like because you are in the minority of not liking this, I'm just gonna say this is like we're recording this on December 1st, so it's in its second weekend, and those numbers haven't come out yet when we recorded, but here's just a few records that this movie has broken already. First one, the highest grossing movie ever based on a Broadway musical at the domestic box office, and that's at 214 million and counting as of November 30th. The biggest global opening for a non-sequel film for 2024. The biggest global and domestic opening ever for a movie based on a Broadway show. I think the only one that might touch this is Grease, if you account for inflation.
Oh, I totally forgot about Grease. Grease is fucking Grease is actually my favorite film adaptation of a Broadway musical.
Yeah, because I think that's the only one, if you count inflation, would be beating this one. But even still, once this weekend's numbers come out, I'm sure it'll be Grease. Because like it is fun, like and like I said in my written review, like I can see people now just tossing their hair side to side, right, because of Ariana Grande and Glinda.
Well,
right?
It's funny. I just wanted to I couldn't really remember like which songs Ariana Grande had done as a huge, massive pop star. And so as I'm like on Spotify, they've got the like little music videos playing. And she actually does that head fucking thing way before this. So she was well suited for the hair flipping, that's for sure. Well, I just want to bring some of your numbers. I know you're trying to defy gravity with them. So yeah, okay, I wrote a bunch of records. Those are like the kind of records like brightest film shown on a Thursday. Like, okay, we want to like make up some fucking record-breaking shit. So the thing has $150 million fucking production budget. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they spent a minimum of $150 million on marketing. So that gives us $300 million in the hole right from the back. I've got $265 million is what it's made so far, but like you said, we don't have our weekend numbers. That means this film needs to make about $600 million to break even. Why, people out there? Well, because the movie at the box office only gets 50% of that take. The movie theater gets roughly the other 50%. So this thing is $300 million in the hole. And it needs to make that 300, which means it needs to make $600 million in order to make his fucking money back. That is a big, big fucking climb, man.
Yeah, but look at last year and Wonka, right? That was a musical as well, but it had legs. It went the whole Christmas season to like I think end of January in theaters. And I can see this too. It's going to have its up and downs. Yeah, like this weekend it's up against Moana too, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if next weekend, because I don't think there's much in terms of contention, that it doesn't overtake number one again until the end of the month
until we
when
get into those
Nosfer
like Christmas Day movies, like the big holiday blockbusters.
Till Nosferatu comes out and just fucking takes over everything.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right. Again, the only time will tell. It's doing not bad. It's again, I did not enjoy this film, except for the last, what was it, 15 minutes? Like when it suddenly became Top Gun, broomstick. Like that that last 15 minutes was fucking intense, man. I was glad I was in the movie theater for the ending of this film, because it does end with Gravity, right? Like I said, the most popular song from, I would argue, from the Broadway musical, and this amazing CGI mixed with practical effect flying around broomstick shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I still think like I've watched it twice already. So and I think there's going to be a lot of repeat viewing on this, because even when I was checking,
I know you're probably right, but fuck, I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine fucking I literally fell asleep for a period in the middle, woke up, and was still fucking bored. Like I was like, oh, it was like normally you have a nap and then you're like, oh, cool, there's very little left of this movie. And I was still like, please, I just want this movie to end.
Yeah, like my only criticism really of this movie is I was not impressed by the Munchkins, because they're not fucking Munchkins.
Short.
Yeah, I'm like, they're not fucking.
They
I'm
look
like
full fucking size, man.
I was
they were like 5'5". I was like, okay, they're not really Munchkins.
Yeah, that was my only thing, because yeah, when they at the beginning, when you know you're kind of at the end of Wizard of Oz, where you know Glinda's announcing that the Wicked Witch is dead, witch oh witch, this Wicked Witch, and then everybody's the same height as her. I'm like, where'd all the Munchkins go?
Yeah,
I'm like,
I wonder if Peter Dinklage was like, that's it, no little people, and so none of his colleagues in the little people world were able to get jobs as Munchkins in this.
But even you didn't even, like, in reality, you didn't even have to do that, because he could have pulled the Lord of the Rings, where you know the hobbits, they're all
like, full-size actors.
Yeah, and you just make them like with effects, because that was the only thing at the beginning that confused me, because I'm like, we're in Munchkin land, but everybody's the same fucking height.
They're all like Shaq-sized Munchkins.
Yeah, and then when they go to the school, and you know the Munchkin guy, you know, everybody stands up and he can't see, but he's like shoulder height to everybody. I'm like,
all right, dude. You're just like a short dude. You were not a Munchkin at this point.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, whatever.
Anyway, so I've got a couple quotes. I think this one just kind of encapsulates what I said. So Johnny Alensky from the New York Post. I cannot believe I'm quoting the New York Post. But anyway, who can say if Wicked has been changed for the better? I do believe it has been changed for the longer. Yeah, I don't think it needed to be. If it was going to be in two parts, make each part 2 hours long. Boom, that's fine. You can still end on Gravity. Just tighten everything up. A lot of fat in there. A lot of scenes that seem to just fucking go on and go on. One of the things you're going to see me complain about on TikTok soon, maybe if I get it done today, is this current season of The Bear. That project needs to just be taken out and just like put in the trash heap. It's another example of scenes that just run on for extended periods of time. It's like the camera just kept running and people went for a smoke break or something. I don't know what the fuck is going on over there, but
yeah, but I think it's probably because we are novices in terms of the source material, right? My guess is, like, you know,
just said there's a ton of other examples of films that have been made from musicals where the fucking thing is not. Les Mis is an exceedingly long stage play. One movie. Chicago, standard stage play. Cats, garbage, still got it in one movie. So I call bullshit. Yeah, but I call total bullshit on this. It needs to be 6 fucking hours long.
No,
This
no,
is
I
hold on.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
This is a director that as soon as he got greenlit for 2 films, just fucking masturbating all over the place, didn't fucking have his screenwriters fucking cut his script down. And yeah, that's what happened. They're like, well, you have 2 movies. And he's like, oh, great. Now I'm going to make fucking an epic that you did not need to make. Go ahead.
No, I like I said, I think because this is a known IP and you really, in my opinion, you gotta work hard to make the Wicked Witch, you know, somebody that you actually want to cheer for. You gotta delve deep, right? You gotta have a lot of emotional resonance.
You're not addressing the premise of what I'm
right,
saying.
but I think
they did this in a Broadway musical that was successful. So
yeah, I think it's one of the most successful.
If we were coming right from the book, I'd be like, okay, I'd probably give you a little bit of grace because you're like, I mean, in a novel, you can have pages and pages and pages of backstory and description and stuff. They already put this on, and they did it on a stage where they didn't have all the other cool shit you can do to create like empathy, you know, close-ups or montage.
That's when you need to put yourself to the test and show us a passage of time. We're gonna need a montage.
Or anything.
Right, but I think you just answered your own question. I don't think this is.
I didn't have a question. You
well, no. Well, you answered technically because I think this is more an adaptation of the novel in the musical form.
You can't even say that because you have not. You haven't read the novel.
Right. But that's but you just said it. Like there's a lot more in novels than there are in plays, and they're probably like in the plays. They're like there's only so much we can do because we can't like change the set pieces here to here to here to here to here. Where in a movie you can.
I call bullshit. Hey, if you're listening to this and you can answer that question, make sure you throw a comment wherever you're listening to this, or go to our YouTube channel and leave a comment. Actually, on this is a great place for me to throw in. If you have been checking out our show, make sure you head over to Apple Podcast, leave us a 5-star review, leave us a comment, leave us a question, a critique, leave us a fucking recipe. I don't care. We are trying to get our Rotten Tomatoes accreditation, and for some reason, they're still going off Apple Podcast. So do the 5-star thing, hook us up, and yeah, we would really appreciate that. Scott, who do you recommend the film for, and do you need to see it on the big screen, or can you just watch it on Disney Plus in like, I don't know, 15 minutes when they finally release it?
I don't think it'll be Disney Plus.
Or wherever, because you know how movies are moving out of the theater so fucking fast on the screen.
No, this will have legs. This is going to be in there for a while. I recommend it to families because it is enjoyable. Like as much as you know, the grumpy old man, like grumpy old troll living under the bridge there. It is enjoyable, right?
I live under a house, not a bridge. Sort of like the Wicked Witch's other sister.
Yeah. But yeah, like I think it's fun. And you know, the songs are catchy, right? And I do think, you know, this is going to be on a lot of best of 2024 lists. And I do think this is going to get nominated a shit ton come award season. I see this as being one of the ones for sure for that ensemble.
You think best picture?
Yeah.
Nominated for sure. Do you think
nominated? No, not winning. Yeah. But nominated for sure.
So for predictions, you have a nomination, but you do not have it winning the Oscar.
Right. And I can see director, and I can see what's the casting one? I can see casting for sure.
Stupidest and all the award ever, but
yeah, all the production stuff on there. Right.
But definitely some of the craft stuff. Listen, we don't need to draw this out. The movie was already drawn out enough. I think if you like me, honestly, I'll be honest, like other than that last fucking section, that 15-20 minutes, I could have just watched this at home. I would have been more comfortable because you can pause it, you can do whatever. Again, if this is your jam, sure, pay the $15 or whatever it's costing you, go see it in the theater. Otherwise, just watch it when it comes out. I'm kind of indifferent. I mean, I know I sound like I've got a lot of hate for it. I don't know if I'm the right demographic. Again, we would definitely love some comments on those who have seen the musical. Definitely if you've seen the musical and read the book. Do you have anything else you want to say, Scott, before I leave us with some quotes? Like I said, it's doing well on the old Rotten Tomatoes. The critics gave it 89. The audience gave it a 96. It seems to be chugging along. The budget, it'll be cool to see what, after this weekend, how much money it made. Yeah, Scott, anything else before I leave with some saucy, vinegary quotes?
No, man. I just want to say, yeah, like I enjoyed it. I think everybody else enjoyed it. And I think you really need to address why you didn't enjoy it. Just because you got thrown out of the theater for wearing your black hat and just going in all face painted green, and they're like, sir, there's children present, you need to leave. Like, I think that should be the real, like, I think you should let it out. Just, you know,
Like
just
disclose
belt
the
it
real
out.
reason, the real reason.
Yeah, you're like, motherfuckers.
I was
They
in the
didn't-
lobby singing my heart out, and they're like, "You gotta go, man. You gotta go." There's like, yeah, there's kids here. This is not the
That's
place.
why
for
you
that.
only saw the last 15 minutes. You're like, that's when you got to see.
I was dressed for the wrong musical. I was actually dressed for Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that didn't go over as well. That's another one I love. I love Rocky Horror Picture Show, but that one's definitely when you got to do the interactive aspect in the theater. Watching it at home, like dressed in lingerie, it doesn't have the same bite. You know what I mean? All right, I'm going to leave you guys with some quotes. Nicholas Barber from BBC.com. It doesn't take flight. It doesn't have the terrific jokes, the startling twists, or the stunning dance routines that might have cast a spell on you. And it's weighed down by underdeveloped subplots, as well by its own sense of self-importance. And from podcaster Chris Langford, you know what wasn't defying gravity? My eyelids.
And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com.
I don't really have much more to say.
I was
but
gonna say,
uh,
how do your eyelids defy gravity?
like this. And then when you don't put any like muscle into them, and they go like this. Look, defying gravity? Not defying gravity.
It's interesting because like my daughter, she's pretty much already spoiled part 2 for me. Like she got obsessed with this, and then she's like looked everything up, so I pretty much know everything that's going to happen in the second one. But I do want to give a shout out. I never did this. I love that the fucking title card of this movie was in the same font as the original Wizard of Oz. I thought that was fucking awesome. Like they bring the nostalgia, and it makes you feel like, fuck yeah, this is gonna be good. I love this movie already.
Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.